And then we haven't even talked about the pipelines blowing up. And I want to talk about that because who did it? Who benefits from it? Well, if the U.S. didn't do it, somebody who did it had to have great technology. Do you know this pipeline was around 200 feet? And I'm talking about the Nord Stream 1 and 2 pipelines from the Russia to Germany, or not Russia, but Russia supplied gas to Germany. 200 feet down. I watched an interesting interview. Do you know the economic professor at Columbia University? You ever heard the name Jeffrey Sachs?
On an interview, and they started attacking him like crazy.
It was on Bloomberg. It was a couple days ago.
Oh, it was Bloomberg. I did see that interview, actually. I did see it, and he was just like, look, go ahead. Tell the story again.
Well, it was just interesting. He said, hey, he come out and said he thinks that the U.S. is behind the blow up. The Bloomberg commentators said, hey, and it's right for them to push back. You make an accusation or a big statement. It's okay to say, hey, back that up. And then he pointed to either radar or some detection that we were in the area, which hell, everybody's in almost every area. But when you break down, okay, who's going to do this without asking permission from the world superpower? I guess is an easy question. I'm not saying I have all the answers. The answer to this is just energy prices are going to remain elevated for some time and have exposure to it. But it's fun to talk about who did it. Do you think Russia did it? That's out there. Why would Russia do it? Maybe to provoke and just have an excuse to escalate the war in Ukraine. I'm not saying that can't happen. I don't think the percentages are there, but that's an option.
I don't know. I don't know what happened. I mean, I could try to speculate a little bit and use a little common sense. I would think Russia blowing up its biggest advantage over everyone, and the reason why that they haven't gotten hurt as much as everybody thought they would when you took them off the SWIFT system and all these sanctions and everything is because they're one of the largest energy producers in the world. And if you're looking at that pipeline that you talked about, Nord Stream 1, Nord Stream 2, they're both kind of like offline. I don't know, and leaks were happening or whatever. It's just a little weird, but that's the main conduit for bringing gas to Germany. So it supplies more than half of Germany's consumption. Why would you blow that up if you're Russia? I mean, if you're saying that would blow that up, that's kind of like China coming out and saying that they're going to blow up every one of its rare earth mines to spite everyone, since they control 95% or 90% of the high strength rare earth metals, the ones that really go into the everything, basically all technologies, cars and stuff like that. I mean, that's like China doing that and saying we're going to blow up all of our rare earth mines. And yeah, you screw the world, but you screw yourself a billion times more, right? Because that is a significant advantage. That's a massive advantage that you have that we need China for. We need China, right? I mean, we can get anyone to buy our stuff, right? Or anyone to make our stuff, rather, right? It'll cost a little bit more at other countries, but we need countries for certain things that we import. The rare earth metals, we need China, right? They have the monopoly on it, right? So would they blow up all the money? So would Russia do this? To me, common sense is absolutely not. It doesn't make sense. I mean, they're showing clips of, administration saying that, no, we're going to take care of this. And it's weird that it happened. I think it's very dangerous that it happened. But the bottom line is now, you're really removing it, right? It's not like, okay, if what happens with Russia and Ukraine, right? One day they will say, okay, it's over. Hopefully short term, right? A lot of people dying. But when they do, now what? I mean, you're looking at these pipelines. I don't think people, like you said, how many feet? Was it 200? It
was close to 200 feet. Yeah, depending feet. On, because they're
coating concrete. Weighs 24 tons, right? I mean, this thing stretches out for 760 miles long. This doesn't happen like by accident. So, this happened on purpose. And who benefits the most from this? I think the U.S. benefits tremendously since we're one of the largest oil producers. I think OPEC benefits tremendously, right? So for Russia to do this, I just don't think it makes sense, since that's one of their biggest advantages. But I don't know. But I know it escalates it. And when you're looking from a stock perspective, investment perspective, which is what this podcast is about, oil has no place else to go but higher from here. I mean, you're looking at the strategic oil reserve where you're releasing, I mean, we're down at 1984 lows. And just to be fair, every single presidency before the election releases oil reserves to bring prices down. You can go back. It goes even with Trump. Yes, he increased it, but right before you saw a little bit come out, you look at Obama, you look at Clinton, you go all the way back, right? But not like this, not this much before the election, right? So now it's 1 million barrels a day said in March. It's going to be for 6 months, and it's at its lowest level since 1984. What's going to happen when you reverse that? When you reverse that, I mean, as of now, you're looking at, you're taking a major producer offline. That's what you're doing. You're taking a major producer offline. Like that 1 million barrels is going away. Now you throw in OPEC with 2 million or whatever it's going to be outside the Russian news is 1 million, but they predicted like 1 million. It could be 2 million. They said 2 million, but like you said, outside of the Russian sanctions, stuff like that might be a million. That's significant. I mean, that's a significant amount, right? That you're taking off the market now. And now what are you going to do? Because you still have crazy ESG policies where, I love the fact that our current administration is going to OPEC and going to Saudi Arabia and saying and trying to convince them that, hey, don't do this right now, especially during an election. We'll give you whatever you freaking want under the table, right? You know that they're saying that. And you know why Saudi gave them the finger? Because, I mean, look at something as simple as the LIV tour. I mean, the LIV tour, the Saudis are the biggest funders of, and this is a big part of it. I think it's a big part of it. It would be a big part for me if I was president of a country. They're like the biggest funding operation, Saudi Arabia's, of the women's tour. But nobody says anything about that. But now, all of a sudden, you have this political agenda and all this lobbying by the PGA and this whole agenda, and all you see in the media is, these guys, human rights, and they're killing their own people. How the hell could you do that? All these golfers. And we have this, narrative that we're shitting on them. We're shitting on their whole country, saying that, this is, and now you want to go there and pretend you're friends with them? I mean, I know politics is politics, but come on, man. I mean, now you need us because the Saudis don't need us. They don't need us. They're the major producer, just like Russia doesn't need us. Do you think the message
is they control the oil markets? What do you think the message is they're sending?
The message, they don't need us. I mean, they're sending the message that, hey, I don't care what you do in strategic oil reserve, but right now we want prices higher, and we can make prices go higher, and they're going to make prices go higher. So if you think like gasoline prices are cool now and everything's great, and go into the election, you're going to feel a little bit better, and hopefully you'll get a couple more votes that way. Again, every president has done this, going into an election year, not to this extent. But now, to really go to the Saudis and ask them for a favor is crazy. But look after the election at what's going to happen. I mean, if you're looking at 1 million barrels per day, that's like removing the Bakken. I visited the Bakken. It's a massive oil producer. I think it's a third largest behind Permian and Eagle Ford. It's Permian and then Eagle Ford, and then you have the Bakken, which is now producing, a little over 1 million barrels per day. It's removing the entire Bakken. That's how much is going to just from the U.S. Right? When you remove that, when you stop adding that million to the market. And now you're looking at the production cuts from OPEC. I mean, it's significant. It is. It's significant. If you don't think it's significant, this is why gasoline prices went from $5 to $3.50. It's significant. Where do you think they're going to go after this? So, if you're looking at oil companies right now, it's, again, Exxon produces 3% of the world's production. I mean, you're looking at a U.S. production, a cut of 8%, 8.5% right now. That's what a billion barrels a day does with 12 million of production a day that we have in the U.S. It's significant. These are big numbers, guys. 8% might not sound like it's a big deal. So I put it in terms of margins where, consumer staples, their net margin is like 6%. Pre-COVID, energy margins were 4%. They're higher now because oil prices are high. But pre-COVID, I'm talking about the last 5 years, not just like, during COVID when, the shit hit the fan. So that's a market like previous 5 years is where oil should be. That's how big and significant this is.